What's happening, people? Welcome to yet another episode of An Idiot's Guide to Happiness. And I'm picking up where I left off with Mr. John Inch because there is just so much to express and so much to dig into. I've known John a very long time, so this is why I really don't mind this one being the epic that it seems to be turning into. So, where we left off, John, was you finished sixth form. Academic life wasn't all that. You kind of got into college. Academic life still wasn't all that. You weren't, your focus wasn't really there. You were having, more sort of like jokes and going out and stuff like that. Then you got into your first job, Toys R Us. That was quite an interesting experience. There were fights in the back. There was checking prams for stolen items and all sorts of stuff like that. Then you decide, let me have a different experience from London. You head towards Surrey, and there's some kind of like, ups and downs. There's a lot of kind of finding your feet, so to speak, in that new experience. But you said towards the end of that first year, even though academically you weren't doing the best, or you weren't pushing yourself the way perhaps you should, it seemed to start coming together in many ways. The social aspect, the academic aspect, the kind of I'm ready to take on life aspects. So, pick it up from where we left off.
Yeah, so towards the end of that year, the first year, did a group project, and it was a fairy tale, right? So it's just a typical, like, here's the brief, do a fairy tale. I was like, oh God, why am I doing this course? Because it was nagging away at me all the time that this is obsolete work. So in animation at that time, CGI was just starting to come through, and drawn animation and.
This is like early 2000s, yeah.
Yeah, early 2000s.
Okay.
Basically, the stuff I had been interested in was sort of on its way out, and this new 3D was coming in, which the college wasn't really ready to teach.
Okay.
It had a couple of workstations.
The uni.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple of workstations. A few students could do it, but most of the people who did that they kind of had a big, powerful computer themselves, or they had something behind them to help them do it. So for me, I was like, I dabbled in it, but I wasn't really committed. It's a familiar theme, right?
It has been for the last 2 or 3 years.
Theme. But the interesting was 80% of my colleagues were the same, and including like some very good artists and stuff. They weren't. But they were more into the belief that this could still go somewhere. Whereas I was like, I don't know, I might pull out. But I didn't pull out, and I became more vocal about my disdain for it all, which drew more people to me. I was like, oh, John isn't just someone who just goes around.
He's not like this quiet, steely-eyed.
And they wanted me to be like the rep. I was like, give it a rest, guys. No thanks. But I did turn up to meetings and got vocal, and basically managed. In the end, we got more people doing CGI.
Okay.
And ultimately, that meant, I don't know, it just changed my attitude a bit. I was like, I'll give it another year. And at the same time, our last project was a group project. And suddenly for the first time I just got into it. I was like staying up till 2 a.m. Just had some cool new people that I was working with. A couple of Japanese girls that were in their 30s. So we just talk about our lives and stuff while
Japanese
working.
Women.
They look 16.
I hear you. But they're in their 30s. But anyway, I'm just...
Bonded well with one of my... Well, I haven't actually spoken to him for a long time, but a good friend of mine who's a lot older, Mr. Eric James, maybe you can get him on the podcast. And we started doing these vocal samples on this project. And we were just cracking up, just like messing around, drinking, throwing our voices and messing around with it on a pitch modulator. Now, I bring this up because it was funny at the time. But it was a hell of a lot more funny when that film got played back to the group, like the wider.
So you kind of just created something, but
we had a very run-of-the-mill project.
Yeah.
And then on the last editing night, we decided to add a voice to the character Rumpelstiltskin.
Okay.
And it was hilarious.
Okay.
and then we did a song on the end credits. Like, we were just suddenly taking the piss out of our proper work.
Right. But so you were creating something, but you were just having fun creating it. You weren't taking it seriously.
All of a sudden, after 6 weeks of taking it quite seriously and doing run-of-the-mill standard stuff, you know, like, and expecting to put up at the end our names rolling up a black title screen.
Yeah.
Next, without telling the rest of the group, because there were 8 people in this group, maybe more, and 4 of us were sat in a table giggling, drunk, and we just recorded a stupid song of Rumpelstiltskin. Like,
is there any chance I can get a small rendition?
To dig it out. I may be able to dig it out.
Can you not recreate just a couple of lyrics right now?
I can't remember.
This will make people happy.
I thought of you in the darkness for the first time. Something like that. Yeah, a voice I still use to this day. Anyway, we put it on, mate. And I knew this was getting played back to the whole group and getting graded. And it was the first time jokes would infiltrate.
And when you say the whole group, you mean the whole class?
80 students.
Is that a class or was that a year? Kind of like
in the animation group, I think there was 80 plus.
Okay.
Split into a couple of groups, but you all come together to watch a selection of films. Okay. Now, only a few films get shown, and none of mine have been shown before at that point. But the teachers, something they liked about it, so they put it on.
Okay.
And we just started cracking up because we knew this song was coming, and I bring this up because this begins a process of enjoyment that never leaves me. Right? This is the awakening. If I've only kind of just talking to you now realised this is probably the start moment.
Amazing.
I might have. Let me just slightly go back. So
yeah.
I kind of ran away from this type of aspect of myself for a long time because I thought it doesn't mean anything. You're at school, and towards the end of these chats, we're going to go right back to school and the way they try and teach you and what they want you to become. And I'm just going to tell everyone, man, you got to listen to your own voice and what it's telling you. And the kids now know better than us. They really have understood there are other ways to live life.
Yeah.
But yeah, even in places like Toys R Us, they'd be like, that drawing shit's a bit weird, innit? So I didn't want that to come to the surface too much. But then I'd grab people once in a while and show them some drawings or stick them up around my security booth and be do stats cards for the people in work. They couldn't help but be intrigued, but I never really went anywhere with it.
Yeah.
I just thought it was that kind of geeky stuff.
Yeah. It was just you were just expressing yourself a little bit and just having.
But it was interesting to see people let's say even hard men just suddenly melting and be like, oh, I want to do something, getting out their own pens and pencils.
Nice.
So that is it. But there was really nothing much to it. But when this film got played in uni, everyone just turned around and started cracking up because we were a serious group, and although me and my friend Eric might have been seen as responsible for causing this, the fact we had those girls also singing and drunk on the project, and one of them was so serious in daily life, and they suddenly heard her voice, so she had her head in her hands because I think she forgot.
She was almost looking devastated at that point.
And then
whereas it was actually she was becoming a heroine in many ways.
A heroine is a legendary status, and the whole room just erupted in laughter. Now, it's what happens next. No one watches students' films again. Yeah, they don't put them on at parties. But what started to happen? You need to, because half the people did miss it because they're doing other stuff. You need to go and see them lot's Rumpelstiltskin film. Go around to their house. We used to get visits. Play the film. Play the animation with the singing. 4 days later, house party. I wasn't in the room. I heard my voice. I was like, they put it on. And I was like, the world of jokes has arrived. And this was right at the end of the year. So this was suddenly I'm going to stay. Because that was funny.
Indeed.
I want to know what happens in year 2. And, well, we are about to learn it was just the beginning. It's a shame. I would like to end this podcast now, but it's only 10 minutes in. So we have to get to year 2.
We can end it at this point now. We can take a quick break, and I can just add the next bit on to the end of this. So anyway, I will do that. So join us in a sec. Peace. So you were saying how the events towards the end of your first year at uni kind of opened up your mind that okay, maybe this experience isn't as bad as I was thinking that it is, and instead of leaving as I was planning on doing, or at least thinking about doing, I may hang around a bit longer and see how this develops. So take us. You could take over the wheel from there, and tell us how things unfolded from that point.
So we were living in halls in the first year.
Okay.
Um,
Adventurous.
it could have been better. To be honest, from what I imagined, it was good, but could have been better. Maybe some people had a better time than me. I quickly got bored of it, and the sort of just being on campus, one bar / club, which everyone seemed to just keep looping around.
Indeed.
I don't know if you found this as well. I kind of was like, yeah, this isn't really doing it for me.
Yeah.
Seeing as we never used to keep going to one nightclub.
Yeah, we certainly didn't back in the day. The Joke Crew.
So I kind of got old quite quick.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, I was despondent in the middle part of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, as we discussed, that end bit was quite interesting. And so going into the second year, we now move out into the town, finding flats, whole new experience. So I feel like this is the real living away from home experience. We were a small town, reliant on people with cars, like a lot of the Londoners, not necessarily car owners, having to like bargain with people to get lifts in, or take a bus that only came once every 2 hours, or take a very long walk, which I did do many times. But I had a good friend, good flatmate, and this guy would go on to partner me in crime in a great many ways.
Nice.
One Stephen Mason.
Excellent.
Name drop.
Absolute legend.
So he was one of the guys I lived with, and the other one was Eric, who I'd mentioned before.
Indeed.
Slightly older
AKA
student.
Grandmaster.
And we had another flatmate. He was quite interesting. He was from London, but we saw him twice in the whole year.
I see.
I believe his name was Luke. But he came in to watch what we were doing at one point, and he was like, "This is sick," and then left. So yeah, we move into a house, and I think some of the other students in our year are down the road. So actually, there's quite a few houses still connected, linked to that group. So the social life carries on in that form. The problem with me and Steve was we're kind of bored and mischievous, and we didn't really want to mix. We were like a good influence and a bad influence on each other.
Okay.
We could bring out the worst in each other.
Okay.
But in the end, this becomes our strength.
Indeed.
So we do a few of these house parties, and they just get, to us, that they're great, yeah? Well done, people putting on the house parties, excellent. And it was more than we ever did. We would just turn up. But there's just one day where we were just quite bored in general. And we decided to put on the COVID outfit, which is now compulsory.
I was
then,
thinking, it was. I'm sure it wasn't called the COVID.
Mate, in those days, and until very recently, no one was supposed to be wearing a mask over their face with the hood up. It just screamed mugging, intimidation, all sorts, right? Even in small towns.
You had hoods as well as masks.
Hoods as well as masks. Well, that's what's happening now.
I'm just highlighting how times have changed.
Yeah. So where am I going with this? I think. Oh yeah. No.
So basically, you guys kind of dress up and you kind of create some characters in essence.
Yeah, just basically, we wanted to take Steve's BB guns and shoot people at this party.
This is not
hiding behind a wall.
Can I just say, an idiot's guide to happiness does not endorse such behaviour. I just want to clarify that. But that is what happened with Mr. Mason and Mr. Inch.
Yeah, I was about to say this is what 18-year-olds get up to, but me and Steve had both deferred a year, so we are aged probably 20. when we come up with this fantastic idea.
Indeed.
But we are creative.
Aha.
And like I said in the first podcast, I'm not a moron. Like, there has to be method behind the madness. So we decide, won't it be fun if we film it?
Okay. So not only did you think, let's go around and shoot people and cover our faces with masks and hoods, but then on top of that, you also said, let's film it as well.
That's right. Now, I was fascinated that people had...
What a shame Instagram wasn't around back then, but anyway.
Too early. But on that note, I was fascinated that people had their own video cameras.
Uh-huh.
Because one thing we'd always struggled with before, when we were a bit younger, we'd always talked about film ideas.
We always wanted to create stuff. We made some loose attempts. What was it called? River Rat,
storyboards, scripts. Could borrow a camera for a day.
Yep.
And that was always our downfall: technology, or not having equipment, and not being willing or able to spend money on equipment. But here were people just with cameras everywhere, and another friend who's gone on to do big things, Simon, who was from the actual flat hosting the party.
Hold on, does Simon now run his own gallery? Is that, or he's just an artist who's kind of got his work?
No, he works in games, but he has his.
But he makes painting as well.
Well, he's a photographer.
That's it, photographer.
And that's his. It seems like that's his true passion. So Amazing. He's managed to do that alongside.
And he's had his work exhibited in
Saatchi Gallery, all over the place. Magazines. He's had people pirate it.
And make sure we give him a nice shout out.
I think the NHS website stole his work once.
Oh dear,
Had to apologise. But this is his beginning in my eyes too. Because he was an interesting character, and he was
what's his full name? Simon
Chung.
Simon Chung.
Yeah.
Okay, just in case people want to look into his work. But anyway, sorry, carry on. And
I don't know what he was in our house, and I think he just saw us coming up with this idea, and he went, "I'm going to get my camera." I think that's what happened. And I was like, "Sneaky bugger! He's enjoying the downfall of this party. Excellent." And then. So we started filming some, and then we said, we're not just going to turn up to the party. Let's film our characters getting ready to wage war on this party. So I'm
laughing because I've seen the footage, and it's pretty legendary footage, I have to say.
And then I was like, let's wake up Eric upstairs. Because Eric used to sleep in late, very late. So this is 6 p.m.
That's quite a sleep in.
And I was like, we need another character. These characters we've created need to have a master. So before you know it, we spent about 4 or 5 hours from discussing this idea to filming scene after scene after scene of preparation.
But just random, like it was just happening organically.
In the house, I was like, let's just show us playing table tennis. Let's show us pulling names out of a hat of the victims we're going to shoot. At this point, we're planning to just show, once everyone's realised it's us. Yeah. So let me just clarify, this area was known for like some antisocial behaviour. Okay. Like from locals.
Amongst the locals.
And locals would often give student houses problems.
Right.
Like even leaving feces in letterbox and stuff like that. So there's all sorts of that nonsense going on. Classic uni tales. And I was like, okay, we'll see what happens when our turn comes. But for some reason, it never happened to our house. In fact, we just seemed to get people sitting on our wall and wondering what we were up to.
So there was like chav-like behaviour without it being a council house. Because chav is council house and violent or something.
I guess the whole area is.
Or maybe
there
was some council.
Yeah. I didn't like paint
individuals. I'm not trying to paint people with a certain brush, but I'm just trying to give people a certain image of how things were. Yeah. So there was a lot of chav type characters who were living around there as well as these students.
I don't like that term, but
it's just an easy thing for people to kind of control.
Read the Owen Jones book, and then come up. You start labeling people as you want.
Yeah.
But there was definitely a vibe of the student houses are gonna get it.
Yeah.
But in this night, we're gonna be the ones dishing it out. So the idea was to show this footage at the party once everyone had realised, we're not under attack. It's just John and Steve. Yeah. What are they like, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, these are all our friends, really, despite the fact we're going to wreak havoc on this party. And we do. And we send Simon in with the camera so he can film from the inside.
Okay.
It's a crappy bit of film.
Mm-hmm.
It's stupid. We shoot about 3 people before they're onto us. End of story. But we don't.
I just want to. No one got hurt though, right?
BB bullets do not do much damage. Do not aim for the eyes.
Indeed.
And yeah, aim for the ass.
Just don't do it because an
Don't
idiot's
do
got
it,
to. An idiot's got to have this. Does not endorse it.
Yeah. I practiced for months, to make sure I didn't miss the target. But yeah, so the key thing here is delayed gratification.
Yeah. Okay.
We don't show the footage. In the end, we're like, it's kind of stupid. Like we've had a real adrenaline rush doing this.
Right.
People were like, show us a tape then, and I think we might have showed 1 or 2, but for some reason we decided to like not really show it and not gather the group round for the fun. I reckon Steve maybe said we should put some music to it or something like that. Bang, next day, wake up. That was a fun night. Simon, can we... So me and Steve don't even have computers. We're sort of skimping and saving all the time. We're doing a degree in this stuff. We don't have any equipment. Yeah. Simon, can you help us edit? Because we can't edit. Simon, yeah, I'm bored. Come over. I remember staying up every night.
Had you seen Simon's footage at that point? The footage he filmed from inside the house?
Yeah, he showed me everything, like in a class the next day.
Okay.
So then we go and start editing. So this is for the first time now, going into uni, doing no work, of course, but still doing a full day. Then going to the late night sessions of editing, which actually was teaching us. So I learned to edit watching Simon.
Okay.
I never used editing program before.
Okay.
Neither has Steve.
Right.
And Simon was good at it. And we were having a blast. And then we got another flatmate of Simon's, Rob, to do a voiceover.
Okay.
So it just started to take more and more of a life. So in the end, we have a 20-minute film, and which to us was like the best thing ever.
And this 20-minute film, is this all, you guys getting dressed, preparing to go out and wreak havoc?
Yeah.
Some of the footage of the havoc that gets wreaked, and basically, and that's what turns into this 20-minute sort of piece that just happened to just organically just come out of nowhere kind of thing. Okay.
And then it's we get.
And is this all in second year now?
It's in the start, right at the beginning of the second year.
Okay.
Literally the first couple of weeks. So back with a vengeance.
Indeed. Okay.
And then this is how I go, man. When I start getting my teeth into something, I go hard. Like this is jokes. Like that. Life was boring in these houses. Suddenly it wasn't. So now we start building hype around this film. There's this film out, and people are terrified because we are threatening everything. Not only because Simon was always filming. He took the camera, snuck the camera into the union, which wasn't allowed to have filming, and would just film people drunk. Okay. I was like, give me that footage. Simon was like, yes, it's going in. I was like, this is all going in. Now we really have a bartering chip. Okay. I was like, now it's time to unleash hell and havoc. We were a nightmare. I think people might have hated us. Banji, trailers.
Trailers, okay.
Now, when you got a trailer, it needs to go somewhere. It needs to go on a cinema screen.
That would help.
We used to have lectures. Lectures would begin.
Yeah.
Everyone would fall asleep. But it was a very nice venue with a big screen. And luckily we had one lecturer who wasn't like the rest. Goes by the name Charles da Costa. An interesting character. And he said, he was the only one who showed us his films from when he was young. And they were fascinating because it's set in early 80s when he's a teenager. Okay. So I was like, this guy's a bit different. I'm not falling asleep here. And then he said, if any of you have any films, want to show your work, films are meant to be seen. And he pointed to the big screen. So I went up to him, I said, Charles, we got a film we want to show. Well, actually, and he was like, yeah, put it on now. I was like, no. Next week, because I hadn't done it.
Right.
I'll give you a trailer. And then He was like, a trailer? He was like, yeah. And then if it's good, we can show the film. And he was like, okay. Like, he looked a bit puzzled, but he was like, this sounds interesting. So that week, the next week, we made a trailer, which was just an attack on our fellow classmates. That footage of them drunk with a warning of what's to come. And that was it. The hype had begun. It was fear hype. Oh my God, am I going to be in it? What are these guys doing? And it just started to take on a life of its own. And
Well, some of that excitement started to spread to, I assume, to like not just the victims of said trailer, but like, other people as well who were like, "Oh, this is interesting. Yeah, what's going on here?"
And people would start to tell other social groups and stuff like that. And then obviously we had a 20-minute film to show. Like, it's fine to show a 20-second trailer, but I was like, we got to get the whole film on in that lecture. And I don't know how we persuaded him to let us do it, but he allowed for a 20-minute window without knowing what the hell this was for this film to go on.
Okay.
And the lecture hall was packed. Like, everyone was turning up, basically to make sure, hoping they weren't going to be in it. Right. Drawn in by fear.
Yeah.
But loads of people who'd heard about this were just excited. So when we put our names and stuff on it, and people would cheer when we appeared and stuff like that, I was like, this is hilarious. And then this film got shown.
What was it? Did you come up with a title for this film?
That's right, we did. And we didn't know what to call it. But that lecturer had given us his lecture notes from the week before.
Okay.
And his lecture notes said, artists and renegades.
Beautiful.
Bang. Title.
It writes
we're
itself.
Artists, we're renegades.
It writes itself.
It wrote itself. It wrote itself. I should add, at this point, another student was threatening to do his own film.
Okay.
In retaliation to the trailers. And I was secretly worried because he had 2 cameras. He did martial arts, and he had more friends that did martial arts, whereas I was threatening to do martial arts.
So when you're saying you were worried because this guy had certain skill set and resources
and masks,
so you thought like he was going to create something that might be more spectacular or might be
very
more
much so
attention grabbing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did what I always do. I went on the attack. Did an ad campaign around the uni with posters threatening what would happen if his film got shown. Fans begging him to cancel the project, like names of people who didn't exist would do campaigns against it.
I just want to say
this is pre-social media.
I just want to say one more time, an Idiot's Guide to Happiness does not endorse such behaviour, but we will certainly record your story if you want to talk about it. But yeah. So you went on a sort of campaign in fear, in some of your own fear about
respect.
Potential the outshining of what you guys have done, that potentially happening. So you wanted to kind of nip that in the bud, so to speak.
Yeah. I just knew it was such an unusual thing going on, and I was like, this is potentially going to steal our thunder. And I'm not going to have it. But I am me. So at the same time, I was turning up to his film shoots. I'll be in it. And I become the star of his film. And I was like, it's better. I said to Steve, it's going to be better. We need to get ours on first. So that became the new battle. And we got ours on first. Got everyone behind it. And the problem was, although it was better, people were like, what's this? More? It's just getting silly now. People just showing their films of them in costumes. So you had to get there first.
Okay.
And in the end, so both films are shown. It's all good fun. Great start to the year. And that should be the end of it. It's time to get on with work.
Okay. So what was all this sort of in the first couple of months?
It's within a month by from Christmas. Start to finish.
All right. Okay.
Month 1. Yeah.
Wow.
It is a frenzy.
So do you feel like what you guys did with your sort of, cheeky, mischievous behavior and stuff like that, you kind of sparked a bit of a creative fire with other individuals at the university, or at least, people on your course for the most part and stuff like that, to want to create something themselves, other than just these sort of academic reasons that they were there and, doing coursework and creating stuff for that, but something that was a little bit more personal in terms of a creative kind of drive or creative catalyst, perhaps is the better term to use.
Definitely in some.
Hmm.
A lot were just like, this is stupid. And a lot were.
And make sure you don't film me, yeah? Because I don't want to be in part of any of this.
And there was a lot of, this is just getting in the way of what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Silly. But at this stage. And I was like, well, me and Steve sort of basking off it for a week. And then we were like, we need to go further. We need to do a sequel.
By the way, like, this all sounds like this is an incredibly happy... Now, I understand that, like I said, as you're experiencing it, you might not feel the sense of happiness, or at least maybe some of the happiness that you're feeling is kind of... there's certain reasons why you might be feeling that. But now, obviously, there's a very big sort of reminiscent aspect to these memories that you're talking about. So, because obviously, I my theme is all about doing stuff that kind of increases our happiness, increases our level of kind of feeling comfortable and feeling content. So as this is happening, it's exciting. Yeah, I could definitely use that word. The word happy might not be applied at this point in time, but there's excitement, and that excitement seems to be growing within you, within your circle, and even other people who weren't necessarily part of your circle as well.
Definitely.
Okay.
It's going hand in hand though with my illness is playing up secretly. I'm trying to keep it hidden, and it's still coming from a sense of I don't have any idea what I'm doing. But yeah, so it's funny how something like that just wipes it all out of the way. And we want more. It's kind of hard to go back. This is just in our heads that it's great. For everyone else, it was 2 minutes of a laugh. But it was enough to grab attention. And
indeed.
Whatever anyone says, they have to be like, no, I did need to know what that film was going to be. And people would still ask about it. So something was there. Mm-hmm. And we decided to do a sequel. Okay. And this time, we're going to go all in. We're going to actually get people to act. Use 50,
you're going to do a script and storyboard.
At least 1 hour film. We want to cast people. We want to get everyone involved. Let's do this.
People making costumes, people doing makeup, all of that stuff.
To some extent, yeah.
That's what it looked like to me when I saw it.
And we thought this project might take a month. This project lasts for the next 2 years. Parallel to university itself.
Indeed.
And there are many ups and downs.
I can imagine. I don't need to imagine, I'm aware. But yeah.
But that experience is fantastic.
Okay. So going to uni, so like you've done the school thing, there was an incident when you finished your GCSEs, that kind of sparked a new sort of a new perspective in you. You sort of wanted to take life on a bit more, shall we say, a bit more vigorously. You had some adventures. You ended up working in Toys R Us. So you finish your A-levels. Academically, you're kind of not really as focused as you feel like you should be, perhaps. You take a bit of time out. You work. Then you end up, okay, you know what? I've made a bit of dough. Let me do the uni thing. See what happens. You go there. It's a bit hard to adjust at first, and then all of a sudden you kind of find some creative spark that seems to kind of start growing and attract others to that flame as well. So that kind of carries you through university, basically, in essence.
Definitely.
Okay.
I actually can't imagine it without it now, looking back.
Indeed.
But that led to like a very busy life, and lessons were learned for life. Like I suddenly had to manage people in a way.
Okay.
I had to see friendships fall out. This is what started to happen. People would fall out, and whereas before that's just what happens. I was like, no, these people need to work together in this film. Everyone has to get on. I can't have anyone falling out. And my man Steve's going on the warpath. For various reasons. Indeed. And unfortunately people do fall out, and they fall out for quite a while. So I lose Simon and the camera
Oh.
because they fall out. So we have to bring in an enemy. I call him an enemy for a laugh because he was always threatening to make his own film, and he secretly wanted the downfall, but loved it. And he was like, "Yeah, I'll join in. I'll be the cameraman." Stephen Lau, dropping a lot of names tonight.
Nice.
Another legend.
Absolute legend.
But I'm like, I need Simon, so I'm like, I need to heal this wrath, but you just got to let it happen at its own time. Eventually, it happened, like towards the end. And our other friend, another legend who you've met, John Oliver,
Massive legend.
was also brought in because I wanted a guy who could do martial arts, split kicks, and full dedication. I knew he'd dedicate himself to it.
I quite love the simple things for your reason why you needed certain people involved. Oh, he can do the splits. He has to be involved.
Very much so.
Very nice. It's simple approach in life sometimes, man. It can pay off.
But these are a lot of big personalities in their own way, and they all clash. So that was the big challenge for me because I didn't really fall out with anyone. Or if I did, it was very temporary. But these people would have big fallouts. So my second job became managing these conflicts, which is something I've always done ever since. I never did before that.
Okay.
So yeah, this went on for 2 years. It pretty much meant only 20% of energy was applied to any university project.
I see.
And at the end of it, we had a movie.
Nice.
But we also, it meant I enjoyed working with people. So when it came to the final year, where you're supposed to do your final project by yourself, I just said, "Can I do a group project, sir?" He was like, "You can, but group projects are doomed to fail."
And for you, that was like, we'll see about that, mate.
Correct. Again, another thing I do sometimes to my downfall is, yeah, you think so? Steve, we're working together. And I think Steve liked the idea I had because he's already started something. But I wrote to him very easy because Lord of the Rings was big at the time.
Right.
And I was like, we're going to make a film to rival Lord of the Rings, as you do.
As you do when you're a university
1,000 people
student.
on screen, no problem. We've already made a film. We're making a film now anyway. Let's just make an animated cartoon at the same time, which is going to take 10 times longer than anything else. No problem, we'll do that as well. And then I brought in a wild card as well, because I knew this guy had potential. Rishi Gohill.
Ah, a supreme legend.
Supreme legend, but that was a raw, rough diamond in those days, and people literally came up to me and said, "You're taking a big risk bringing him on your project." To give you some idea of where he was at.
But you saw the potential.
I saw the potential. I love it.
So when you have a vision, that's one thing I want to emphasize. When you have a vision, you got to see it through. Sometimes, and despite the naysayers, you have to kind of trust your instincts and go with it sometimes. But yeah.
So I love like that I have that element to my character, but I must also stress that because I also try and do it in a sort of cool throwaway manner. So I want to stress as well what happens if someone challenges that side of me and is bold enough to, and in a good way. And that was one of my teachers in the year before. So this teacher was like, a lot of people didn't like her because she was very honest. She said, she looked around the room when she met us. She said, one of you will do big things, 2 or 3 of you will do something, and the rest of you, and I was like, wow, I wonder who's going to be who, is what I thought to myself. And I knew I certainly wasn't the best student in that class. So I was like, that's an interesting start. And they were very, it's hard to say whether it was good or bad teaching because it's very dismissive. They said a lot of things that some of my, because I still know a lot of the people from this course, and they're still haunted by the things that were said to them.
Okay.
And they were harsh. I remember they said to me, I used to wear this leather jacket, and Dennis in Albert Square was the main he'd just come in and he's like rivaling Phil and Grant.
Right,
I don't know if you remember that character.
Kind of, yeah.
So the Mitchells had a rival,
Right.
but I had like some similarity in my look to him and the leather jacket. So she would just rip the shit out of this and be like, "Oh, here comes Dennis from Square," and I was just like, "What are you cussing me?" And then she would say things like, "Good work, but you're holding back. You're not going to amount to anything because you don't commit to this." And I was like, "Yes, I am. I'm doing the work." I'm like, who the fuck are you talking to? I was thinking, but I was like, deep down, I knew, yeah, she's absolutely right. I am acting too cool to truly give myself to this.
Right.
And I remember it sticking and knowing deep down, I'll never commit as much as the top students are committing to their work. You know, I mean, it's all very well, I've got these other things going on, but they are jokes. And it's not true application to like the cause.
Of like developing your artistic skills and stuff like that.
And I was always like, that is lacking in me. And that's going to be a problem. But I do remember that comment. So, and it stuck. So when, and they were harsh. They were like, they said to Steve, "Oh, just because we liked John's work doesn't mean we like him." I mean, it was like that all the time.
Yeah.
It was brutal, but it was good. It's good for people like me that need like a sort of kick up the ass in some ways. But yeah, in the end, so I probably work harder than I've ever worked. I do that film. We do the animation. We do pull it off. There's lots of fights. There's bloodshed. People fall out. At one point, we have to stop everything we're doing and make a sorry film for our friend.
Wow.
Which takes 2 weeks out of the schedule to create this quick film, which in itself was an insult based on Fist of Farnham. Sorry, Fist of North Star. But that was the level of creativity that I was in. Okay. And Steve himself could be a killjoy if it wasn't to do with Artists and Renegades. So when he went home one weekend, we made 2 more films just to annoy him, where it was a hot day, so we stripped down pretty much to underwear and pretend we're in ancient Rome. A project that could not have got by Steve in those days. So that was an attack on him. And it was just like this all the time. So I don't know if we were very bored or very creative, but this is
maybe a bit of both.
How we went on in uni. Well, going out, getting drunk and doing the usual.
Okay, so Artists and Renegades is complete by the end of university, yeah? All right. At this point, let's take a pause because we've been going for a good over 30 minutes now. So we shall take a quick break and then we'll pick this up after the university life. You know, maybe you can, if there was there a screening of Artists and Renegades? The way the original screening of like the 20-minute thing happened.
we managed to we screened the other one right before the hand-in for all the student films. The day before.
Okay.
So it's actually a massive stress for everyone to come, but they just can't resist. So we screen it.
Yeah.
We tell our 7-foot mate to come in a suit to be the doorman.
Oh, nice.
So we bring back all that level of entertainment. And I think people turned up, mate, and their grades suffered because they really needed those extra hours.
They needed to work on their own actual academic project.
That's the legend of Artists and Renegades. But there were times when people got really fed up with it in development. Yeah. And it wasn't until it got screened that all was forgiven.
Right.
Because me and Steve were ruining parties. Like, people were meeting up in big groups. We were like, oh my God, there's 20 people out and drunk. Yeah. Let's get them all back to ours and film a massive fight scene. That's what we were like all the time. Like, people are trying to enjoy their unique experience. So we're just terrors.
Okay, cool. All right, we'll take a break there at that point. Stay tuned for the next episode of An Idiot's Guide to Happiness. Peace.